joke to the spot. This is real stuff here. The chain tip, yes. This is real stuff. All the boats That's the Christmas tree. But she survived all the hurricanes. Let's see her survive this. This is gonna be bad. We still got it coming for us. Yeah, if this reach Miami, if this hit any part of the US like this, it's gonna be disastrous. They're gonna be traffic. That is real stuff out there. Lewis was a high wind. This is a hurricane.
For West Michigan businesses with operations in Florida, the concern over Irma involves more than just buildings and other bottom line assets. They're also concerned with their employees and their families. All new at 6, 24 Hour News 8's Joe LaFergie is seeing how a West Michigan company is preparing for Irma down south.
Brian, Rockford Constructions has offices in Bonita Springs and a project going in Key West, both in the potential path of what's shaping up to be the worst Atlantic hurricane on record. Rockford Construction Chief Operating Officer Tom McGovern has been keeping a close eye on the weather.
Through that region, the southeast region, we have projects that are directly in line with what's coming.
With offices in Bonita Springs and a project underway on Key West, McGovern says the first concern is with employees and contractors. With only one route out of Key West, once everything was tied down at the site, Rockford employees were told to head north.
They actually have extra fuel and water to make sure that they make it through the entire state of Florida. They're not going to stay in the state of Florida. They're going to move higher north into, I think, the Tennessee area.
Everyone in the construction business has to deal with the weather. Whether it's a large-scale project like the West Side Complex that'll include housing and a Meijer store in Four Seasons, Grand Rapids, or ones being built in hurricane-prone areas like Florida and Texas, Rockford has all three.
You tie things down, you try to make sure that all your materials on site are not going to move to other properties or become airborne.
The governor says all of the projects have safety plans in place. That includes plans for hurricanes in the south.
This is an unusual one because you really technically have to have a plan to demobilize everybody, get them out safely, and then after the storm is done, assess what's going on and then try to remobilize.
With everything tied down and employees evacuated, the waiting game begins. Will Irma change course and give a glancing blow, or will it be a direct and likely devastating hit? The governor would not venture a guess as to what any of those scenarios might mean for the company.
When you run into something that is the biggest ever, you start to question, what does that mean? What will the impacts be?
And again, this is shaping up to be the biggest Atlantic hurricane ever. So when it comes to dealing with the aftermath for companies like Rockford Construction, all bets are off.
Anyway, I'm still looking around. I'm looking above the roof. Exactly.
they're telling us to get caught outside, it's an automatic arrest, but I feel like I'm probably safe on my own balcony where the furniture has been removed. But this is like supposed to be the easy part. It's supposed to get real bad in about 2-3 hours. And I'm not gonna lie, this is already scary. So
Literally running from house to house, and we had cars flying over our heads. We had containers, 40-foot containers flying left and right.
Major Hurricane Irma is not showing signs of slowing down anytime soon, and unfortunately has already proved deadly. The island of Barbuda took a direct hit from Irma overnight, and the damage, as you can see, is astounding. Irma's rain is causing widespread flooding elsewhere across the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. The airport on St. Martin appears to have suffered major damage, and the Associated Press also is reporting that damage on St. Bart's is ongoing, where 3 feet of floodwater is making it impossible for the island's emergency responders to get out and make rescues. Irma has also slammed the British Virgin Islands on Wednesday, and U.S. authorities are preparing for Irma to hit. All of South Carolina, Florida, and 6 coastal counties in Georgia are now under a state of emergency. Ever wondered what it feels like to be in a major hurricane? This is it, and I would not recommend being the person holding that camera. This was in St. Thomas as Hurricane Irma skirted past there, and then you may notice it looks a little different in Puerto Rico, and that's because the storm went north. Those hurricane force winds extend about 50 miles out from the center, so this jog to the north that we saw right through the Virgin Islands and then north of Puerto Rico really saved them from the brunt of the winds. However, they did get some tremendous flooding from this storm. Still a Category 5 hurricane, still packing those fierce 185 max sustained winds, but again, those are right around the center. Then we go out about 50 miles. That's where we see the end of the Category 1 strength hurricane force winds, and then beyond that we're looking at tropical storm winds extending almost 200 miles from the center. So you'll notice hurricane warnings have now been expanded up into the Bahamas. We still have hurricane watches for parts of Cuba and into parts of the northern Bahamas there. Watch this, expected to stay a Category 5 hurricane as it passes north of Cuba. This is on Friday, right, going over the Bahamas there, and then we make the turn, the infamous turn. And there's still some question here. I know you guys have been hearing that a lot, but whenever you get to day 4 and day 5 in a forecast, there's a lot of error in these cones. So we could still see this right up the center part of Florida. We could see it go a little farther east. But whatever your local officials are telling you to do, follow those instructions.